So the value of business analysis is well understood by Salesforce, but we need to go back to 2004 when Richard Parker and I wrote a book called Common Approach, Uncommon Results. And that's where basic UPN, Universal Process Notation, was born, and the whole principles about engaging end users with business process maps. Roll the clock forward to 2014, and we took many of those ideas and put them into a book specifically for Salesforce called Analysis, Automation, Adoption for Awesome Admins. And then for some of you who remember All Confessions, we did the root cause analysis and looked at why 1,200 confessions were coming up. And you can see there from the chart, business analysis was at the root of many of the challenges that people had in All Confessions. And of course, now there is a Salesforce business analysis career. You can go to Trailhead and you can see all the modules that are particularly relevant to a business analyst. And now in the architects community, there are specific business process mapping courses which are part of the foundation for becoming an architect. In this case, a B2B solution architect, but also in terms of B2C and the enterprise architect. So let's think about the scope of business analysis and your role as a business analyst. And there you can see a fairly simple process. We're capturing requirements, defining the work items, building, testing, documenting the solution, and then training users. So if I think about each of those steps and where you as a business analyst have a role, clearly in the validate requirements, you will need to understand the business, but then really understand what their business needs are, not what they think they want, but what they really need. That will then drive out a list of requirements, some process maps, some entity relationship diagrams. So then the next step, understanding the org risk and developing user stories. The output of that is a user story, but also understanding the changes that may need to be made to Salesforce, and obviously the risk of making those changes. In the build, test, and document solution phase, really as a business analyst, you're supporting UAT, user acceptance testing, which is really drawing on the requirements and the process maps that you developed with the end users. The system then gets delivered to end users, and then your role as a business analyst is to drive up adoption, taking some of the content you built in the business analysis phases early on and using that as training material, then obviously then capturing feedback so we can go back around that loop again. So that's the scope of a business analyst. So let's think about how you plan your career. So I think about your career in terms of a number of different dimensions. So if I look at bottom left, domain expertise. Are you an expert in, say, the sales area or CPQ? Have you focused on HR? So there's a business area or domain that you have an understanding in. On the right-hand side there, you clearly need to understand the capabilities of Salesforce. You can't be thinking about defining solutions in isolation. So you need some Salesforce qualifications. And clearly the admin cert is the core certification that you probably need. If we go then around to top left, business experience. So you need to understand a particular business area. So it might be a particular industry. So you've spent your time in the insurance industry or in non-profits. So understanding that business is critical so you can start to engage your end users and start asking the 5 whys. In terms of communication skills, that's more than just talking. It's about facilitating workshops. It's about writing up requirements. It's about questioning. So there are a set of communication skills which are very particular to the business analyst. And then finally, we're talking about the very various business analysis tools and techniques, the ability to map processes, the ability to write requirements, to create user stories. So if they're the different dimensions, let's think about how your career will grow. So if you're a Salesforce admin, probably the shape of your skills looks like this. You probably have some strong domain expertise. You clearly have high levels of Salesforce qualifications, but maybe your business experience is low because you've spent less time really engaging the business users. Maybe some of those communication skills and those BA tools and techniques you haven't got under your belt yet. If you're watching this and you're a business analyst, but have not really had very much involvement in Salesforce, then maybe the shape of your skills looks like this. Clearly, you understand what business analysis is, but you actually have a relatively limited understanding about the capabilities of Salesforce. and you haven't yet gained any of those certifications. So clearly Trailhead and then the admin certification is what you need to actually underpin your business analysis skills. So my suggestion is that to be able to pass the business analysis certification when it comes out next year is you need to be well-rounded in terms of each of those 5 different dimensions. So if you're a business analyst, you need to build up those Salesforce qualifications. If you're a Salesforce admin, you need to think about some of those, the business experience, the BA tools and techniques, and those communication skills. So where can you find that information? So there's a list of resources there. We've taken our 20 years expertise around Salesforce and also around business analysis, and we've captured it all in academy.elements.cloud. So that's our learning center. Clearly Trailhead, if you search for business analysts, then you'll start to find some of those courses there. If you have access to the partner learning camp, the architect course, if you search there for business process mapping, that gets into a lot more detail. And again, the content for those you will find in academy.elements.cloud. And clearly there are articles that we're regularly writing, and you could go to app.inspiringexcellence.cloud and listen to 3-minute insights. Again, drop on the tag there, look for business analysis. Or of course, continue the conversation with me. I'm always happy to spend time talking to people about our experience of the last 20 years of being a business analyst.